everyone, so this review is for Never Say Die by Meredith Doench. If you want to check out my review, I have just posted that, so if you are on YouTube there is a link in the description below, and if you are on my blog then there is a link in the post. And this is the video review. So Never Say Die by Meredith Doench. This was quite a dark, gripping thriller actually. It had some very dark themes, but all handled really sensitively and really well. Rory actually becomes this lead investigator on a case similar to one her mother's partner was accused of being involved in sort of like years ago when she was in college. So it's hitting a lot of home for her with this. And she teams up with the missing girl's mother. And in part of that process, Rory is desperate to figure out all of what is going on before another teenager dies and more little girls go missing. And it's a real sort of fast-paced race against time before it happens to someone else, even though it's been years between. So it's kind of surfaced, but they're just worried of what it all means. And I was so hooked right from the beginning with this one because Meredith just set the whole sort of precedence of it really well. And so because it had that little snippet of the past when Rory had been younger, you were sort of like, oh, okay, how's this going to tie in now? And it was very easy to understand why Rory would be so emotionally invested in this case. You could feel how personal it was for her, and she was so desperate to stop it from ever happening again. But it really showed how cases like this one with missing children are so much harder, especially when the media are involved, because it creates distraction. Although it creates awareness, it can create distraction. It can create ways for people to work around things and to know what's happening, so they can't get caught out easily. And so it whilst it has its merits, it has its obstacles as well. And so it was difficult to it's difficult to share too much about this story without giving away far too many spoilers, but it was really cleverly centered around personal tragedy and how that can affect someone's mental state and well-being. And therefore that sort of fuels their actions and what they do. And it was also, like I say, sensitively explored, because all the dark themes that were in it, they weren't done to thrill, they were done because they were needed for the story. And they were all a part of showing how every action has consequences, but stories are not always as straight as they seem as well. So you think you've got this person worked out, you think you know what's wrong when they're behaving the way they are, and actually you don't know anything about them. So you until you know that, to know what's been fueling their decisions. And there were a lot of characters in this as well who you could have misinterpreted for guilty, but when you knew their background, you thought, oh, you know, no, change my mind. So it was a good sort of look at psychology and what people do and why they do things. But it wasn't just the person responsible for the disappearance who was affected by this. It was everyone, from the victims to the mothers to the people involved, like Rory, whose lives it sort of impacted in some way. And she worked tirelessly and often with limited support, because you know, you have to, when you investigating these things, you have to follow procedure, there's best practice. But I had every faith in her determination, and Rory did have support in her partner, so that was absolutely fantastic that she had her. And I also admired the strength of Savannah. So she's the mother who was not gonna give up on her daughter, because Savannah had been missing for so long. Her mum was like, no, I'm not giving up, and it was her mother who was really driving this to find out the truth. So years of heartache and fear on sort of both Savannah and her mother and Rory and everyone had sort of taken its toll. And Savannah's mother never gave up. She never gave up on her being alive. She never gave up on finding her. And in a way, Savannah knew something wasn't right about her life, but she had struggled with what she could do with that as well. And I really thought she was such a strong and brave character. But a real sort of like a really thrilling and deeply emotional read that it kind of had me on a roller coaster of emotions from start to the end. And I highly recommend it if you love crime thrillers with an edge and lots of sentiment and some heart in there, and the people involved, you know, who are getting to the bottom of the case, you know, they're determined to succeed no matter how things tough get, then this is perfect for you. And I really, really loved it, and I hope you will too. I highly recommend it. I'll pop a link in the description so you can grab a copy of Never Say Die by Meredith Doench, which I really, really hope you will. If you've read Never Say Die, then please let us know what you thought of it. Love to know your thoughts on it. And if you haven't read it yet, but you're planning to read it, it's on your read list, or you're now super intrigued and thinking, yeah, I want to read that, then again, please do let us know, because it's always great to find out what you're interested in reading. And if you do read it, I really, really hope you enjoy it. Sort of the thrill and the crime and how clever it is, obviously not the dark themes, but I really do hope that you enjoy reading it, because it's a really brilliant story. Bye.